Hi everybody, it's Don and I hope you're having a fantastic day. Well, I'm getting a lot of comments saying, what do I think about the investigation by the Transportation Committee, Special House Committee, looking into Carnival Corporation and the letter that they sent out to the CEO. And, well, I've read it. I've read it like 7 times now. And yeah, oh boy, do I have some thoughts. So first off, as you read along with me, that you can see how antagonistic this article starts out with, this letter starts out with. It doesn't sound like it wants to be cooperative. It doesn't sound like it wants to work with anybody and come up with solutions and be helpful and let's work together and solve everything. It comes out as an attack, an actual attack on a particular cruise line, not the other cruise lines. In fact, the wording later on actually says, in particular, Carnival Corporation. Why? Because the other cruise lines don't have the same issues? What are you talking about? So, first off, let's talk about the assumption of the norovirus. So let's look into this Committee of Transportation Infrastructure document that they sent to the CEO of Carnival Corporation. And it starts off very nicely and saying that, hey, let's work together and come up with solutions and see how things go. No, that's not what they do. They go, Mr. Donald, long before the virus began to race around the world, affecting local communities, churches, cities, homes, hospitals, and cruise ships sailing at sea, the cruise industry had a problem managing, containing, and responding to public health outbreaks. During a Royal Caribbean cruise, the Oasis of the Sea, in January of 2019, 592 passengers and crew fell ill from the norovirus. Haha, the norovirus, which is the exact same identical disease as the virus going around now. So they want to compare a norovirus, which is a gastronomical virus spread through mostly with food, contaminated food, to compare it to an infectious lung disease, an infectious respiratory disease. It's the same thing, right? A brand new one, by the way, that has never been occurred before. They want to compare it to a norovirus that's been around for decades and decades. And they cite this quote from the CDC from 10 years ago, a decade ago. According to the CDC, half the cruise lines that had norovirus outbreaks in 2019 were Carnival Corporation-owned ships. Oh, you mean because they own almost half the cruise ships in the world? You think that might have something to do with it? I do. I think that might have something to do with it, I guess. Stating stupid facts is not stating facts to make your narrative. So, yeah. The norovirus and other communicable diseases are not new to public health threats to the cruise industry in 2010. All right, so we're talking a World Health Organization document that came out a decade ago. And it states the major public health that the norovirus and influenza outbreaks are the major public health challenges for the cruise ship industry. Okay, so did they say that norovirus and influenza are rampant on cruise ships? Or did they just say that this is a challenge that they have to work with? And by the way, the last 6 years in a row, the total cruise ship norovirus for each year has gone down, other than last year. The one-off because of the one ship. I guess they did do something about that situation and are working to better protect us on the cruise ships. I guess that might have something to do with it, right? Also, by the way, let's go here. In norovirus, there were 1,000 67 norovirus outbreaks reported by just these few states. Oh, and where were they commonly broken out? Common settings for norovirus outbreaks are healthcare facilities, in particular long-term care facilities in the United States. You know, the ones that are really struggling right now with the virus going around because of our elderly and the situation that's there. They're more vulnerable. Oh, look at that. Oh, the next biggest places are restaurants and catering events. And oh, what's after that? Oh, schools and childcare centers are frequently outbreaks of the norovirus as well. In fact, cruise ships account for less than 1% of all norovirus outbreaks. But are we investigating healthcare facilities? Are we demanding documentation from restaurants and catering events? Are we demanding schools and childcare centers and old age homes and senior citizens homes? Are we demanding any documentation from them? No, we're not, because it's not a sexy headline than going after a cruise corporation. I get it now. I see what you're doing. You're trying to twist the words to make it look like there's a big link with norovirus. Meanwhile, there are far more cases across the United States of the norovirus than are on cruise ships. But I guess you like to try and make your point, etc., etc. Next, we have their big hit. Let's see. On March 23rd of 2020, the CDC reported that the Diamond Princess and the Grand Princess had totaled more than 800 cases, including 10 people who passed away. And both of these ships are operated by Princess Cruises, a subsidiary of the Carnival Corporation. The number of confirmed cases on those two ships, more than all the confirmed cases in the states of Montana, Wyoming, North Dakota, Alaska, or Hawaii. You know, the least populated states across the United States. I wonder if there is a state that might have more issues than, New York. New York, yes. Just the one, like, let's compare 10 to 19,189 and climbing. But you're right, I guess it's the cruise ships again. You see what they're trying to do here, and some of it is just ridiculous in their accusations and the way they're wording this documentation. And one of the best ones that I like in here is that as the world continues to confront the virus, we expect travel restrictions will eventually ease and cruise ships will begin to sail again. We also believe that when that happens, a more robust health precautions and new social distancing protocols will be paramount to preventing and re-emergence the spread of the virus. If they'd have come out, and this would have been their opening documentation and their opening line, and said, we would like to work with you to come up with solutions and protocols for keeping people safe, this would have been the perfect document. This would have been helpful. But instead, they're just accusations after accusations and attacking and not coming up with any solutions, not coming up with any helpful anything other than trying to attack and look like they're doing something, because let's be frank, they're not doing anything right now. The CDC, for instance, has linked the spread of the virus from passengers on cruise ships to 15 states. Oh, that's very interesting. I'm wondering. One of their big punches is that they have linked the spread to 15 states from the cruise lines. Oh, okay. How many have been linked from people traveling and landing from airplanes from the rest of the world? Oh, 31 states. Oh, okay. But I guess we don't want to look at airlines. We only want to look at the cruise lines, right? Because you're the transportation committee, right? So why would you not want to look at airlines? I mean, that falls under transportation. Is it because the U.S. government has a vested interest in a lot of the airlines because of the bailout packages that you've done, and you actually own shares in the airline industry? You think that might have something to do with not wanting to touch those things in the investigation and just stick to the cruise ships, right? Okay, so there's more than double from the airline. Also, how many were spread from, keeping Mardi Gras open or having spring break stay open, or the last night at Walt Disney World, the last night before they shut down when they had 44,000 people sitting in the Magic Kingdom to watch the last fireworks show. Wonder if there was any spread during that time, but we better not look at all that. No, cruises only, right? Because it's only the cruises that are a problem, and that's the only thing that spreads this virus, apparently. Can you not have at least some resemblance of an actual document and an actual fair assessment of this stuff? All right, let's continue. Our committee, the U.S. Congress and American public, need to be assured that the global cruise industry and Carnival Corporation and PLC in particular, and that bugs me to no end. Why in particular that one cruise corporation? Why only that cruise corporation? Maybe somebody needs to investigate this committee to find out why they are so gung-ho against one cruise line and not all the cruise industry as a whole. Why are they not going after Royal Caribbean Cruise Line? Why are they not going after Norwegian Cruise Line? Why is it only Royal Carnival Corporation? While cruises are often viewed as carefree escape from reality where passengers can dine, dance, relax, and mingle, we would hope that the reality of the pandemic will place a renewed emphasis on public health and passenger safety. Okay, that's a great statement, and then they just turned it aggressive again. But frankly, that has not been seen up to this point. That's right. Because Carnival Corporation has not put out any recent new updates to their procedures or announcing that they're working with the World Health Organization to come up with new procedures for cruises, or the CDC's documentation where they're working with a cruise line to come up with new guidelines for embarkation, disembarkation, social distancing, buffets, dining, all that. Yeah, you're right. I guess they haven't been doing anything during this time. In fact, it seems that though Carnival Corporation and its portfolio of 9 cruise lines, which represents 109 cruise ships, is still trying to sell this cruise line fantasy and ignoring the public health threat that posed by the virus and future passage. As of April 23rd, none of your front-facing web pages has any of Carnival's 9 affiliate cruise lines mentioned a single word about the... Oh, wow. That's a bit big that they're not talking about it at all. Well, let's go to Princess. Cruise with confidence, keeping you healthy, booking flexibility and travel protection. Right on the front page. Making travel more flexible, less worrying, keeping you safety and healthy. A whole documentation writing up on it. Make it easier to change your plan, protecting your cruise investment. Well, that seems to be a lot of information. I wonder if there's any more information on the front page. Oh, look, a big red update up here. View current health updates. Oh, look, almost daily updates on crew welfare, repatriation, your cruise credits, advisories on the different ships and what they're going through, health and travel advisories, updated almost daily from the cruise lines. But you're right. They don't have a big poster on front of a person in a hospital bed on their last breath of life saying, come cruise with us. Just for fun, why don't some of you guys go and check out some hotels in the Caribbean go check out any of the hotels that are out there, the Hard Rock hotels, anything like that for all-inclusive. Go check out the hotels in Vegas and for your gambling stays. Go to the front page and see if they got a big picture of anybody who's suffering from a virus. And don't forget, this is still happening, everybody. Oh, but by the way, come and gamble at our hotels. They're demanding a copy of all documentations from January 1st of 2020 up to current date. Anything related whatsoever to doctors, cruise passengers, cruise crew members, captains, shore excursion desks, emails, crew talking to each other, and any voiceful talking from the ship to the shore, anybody on the phone making calls to home. They're asking for all this documentation to, from the past. And this is where it gets really interesting. From the past, to say that this is going to help them to discover how they're going to protect us in the future. So there they say that the cruise lines are still trying to advertise their industry as a fun industry where you're dancing and dining and out on the ocean blue, shall we say. Yeah. Or Vegas saying, you know what? Come on to the MGM Grand. It's a beautiful hotel. And by the way, don't forget to wear your face mask and don't forget to sign in with the heat temperature and don't forget to do this. I don't see that on their front pages neither. Do you want nothing but the front page of every website that has anything to do with travel, which means every hotel, every airline, every train station, every bus station, every theme park, every travel agency, their first thing that you should see is, warning, give me a break. I get to one point in here that this actual document made some sense. We, as a transportation committee, really want to make sure that you're going to be looking after the passengers and their safety is your first thought. Perfect. That's all that, this whole document, that's all that should have been. That should be them saying, okay, I want to do this, I want to do that, we want to look at it. Let's work together and come up with the procedures. And we'll work on, how social distancing. We'll work with the buffet areas. We'll work with the theaters. Let's come up with a game plan together that we all feel comfortable out and we can get the cruise industry back up and running. But no. That's not what they're doing. In fact, they come out demanding documentation for the way that they handled and all the different stories or any articles or any emails or any talks or anything mentioning anything since the virus started, because that's going to help them to show how they're going to protect people in the future. So you're going to investigate what we found out and what we were going through in the past of a whole new, brand new sickness that was spreading around the world when people like the President of the United States was coming out saying it's no worse than the flu. The World Health Organization was saying you can't spread it by touching, which was completely wrong. And, everyone was saying it's not as bad as you think. Yet you're going to go back to that. And somehow, reading over those documents, that's going to tell us how you're preparing for the future to get things safer for people. Not what they're doing right now with the World Health Organization and coming up with the documentations and the infrastructure that they're working with. Not what they're doing right now with the CDC and coming up with a game plan on how to test people and things like that. None of that. None of what you're doing right now to get ready for this. Now that you know what exactly is happening, we want to know what you did when you didn't know what this was happening. Makes no sense. Makes no sense whatsoever. And, oh, by the way, let me just start off with that comparison that you did earlier. Let me start off with the good old Norovirus and your claim that you should have known better. By the way, there is an aircraft carrier from the United States that had 100 people come down with the Norovirus at sea. So I guess you better investigate the U.S. Navy as well for their cruise ship, and you should get all their documentation, because it doesn't sound like they're prepared for much. In our emergency response team in the world, our sophisticated military was not prepared for the virus, but they should have been, right? Because norovirus has been around for a long time. It's happened on Navy ships before. I wonder why you're not investigating that. Is that because maybe if you asked for all this documentation from the Navy would say, why don't you guys shut up and go sit in the corner, little boys? Go sit in the corner. Try and do something helpful next time. Because they would just tell them to go away. It's simple as that. Also, cruise ships are less than 1% of a norovirus outbreak. You know the number one place? Number one place is healthcare. The healthcare facilities, in particular, old age homes and senior citizen residents. What is the number one places hit in the United States and Canada right now? Healthcare systems. And look, senior citizen residences. But are we launching an investigation into that? Are we launching an inquiry into that? No, you know why? Because a lot of them are government-run facilities. And that's why you're not seeing any investigations into that, because we want you to look over here and not over here. Because over here, we look bad, but if we try and word things properly and point fingers at things, and maybe you'll think they're bad. And that's what they're doing. This document is nothing but stupidity. It doesn't lead to helping in any way. If they'd have just come out and said, hey, let's work together and come up with some things to better protect the cruise industry and the transportation, and let's come up with plans together. No, they're not saying that. They're just saying they're going to investigate them. And by the way, you guys better come up with solutions, because if we come up with solutions and if something goes wrong, we're to blame, and we don't want that. So, you do it. You do it. It's unbelievable. The whole document, as far as I'm concerned, is not worth the paper it's written on. This whole House committee is not worth the money we're paying them to sit in Parliament to do. It's complete garbage. It's complete hogwash. And just the presumption that a viral infection of a respiratory system has anything to do with a gastronomical is ludicrous, is absolutely ludicrous. So let me know what you guys think. Do you think just looking at what they're saying and their accusations makes no sense to me? Their comparisons are wrong. They're quoting books. They're quoting a book in this article that somebody wrote. Is that where we get our knowledge and facts from now? Should we start saying that we should look back at all the books written about politicians and everything and now take them as fact? Because gosh darn it, a lot of politicians and celebrities and everybody are certainly going to be in trouble if we do that. As you can see, I get a little heated because I like to try and look at both sides. You've seen me come down on cruise lines and they're doing something wrong. I'm going to call them out on it. Absolutely. Yet I'm not going to blame them for something that the world is not prepared for. And that's all that this seems to do. And not only that, it's pointing fingers at one cruise line corporation. Is it because it's the biggest? I guess so. I guess the other cruise lines who own 20 and 30 and 40 ships out there, I guess they don't have to do anything. They were fine, I guess. Or I guess there was no outbreaks on any other cruise ships. Only Carnival Corporation cruise ships. Give me a break. Maybe try and do something that actually helps the American and the world population, and actually come up with solutions instead of this garbage that you guys are doing. And I'm sorry, it's complete garbage. Let me know what you guys think down below. As you see, I don't think it's right, but you may have a different opinion. Let me know in the comments down below. I hope you liked this video. I'm sorry if I got a little angry. So I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. You want to see more tips, more tricks, more travel vlogs from around the world, hit that subscribe button. Until next time, have yourself a safe and a great vacation.